Boom. All right, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to Crypto Convo, series where we cover exciting news and price action in the land of Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and crypto-related stocks. You guys, in the wake of the absolute carnage that we are seeing in the crypto markets right now, my primary objective in this video is going to be to talk to you about my downside price targets or my accumulation targets for a few of my favorite names across the sector. On top of that, I do also want to read through a couple of articles with you guys as to what may be responsible from both a fundamental and technical perspective, actually, for the bloodbath that we are currently seeing in the crypto markets. Okay, so let's get straight into this. As always, we'll quickly go over each topic we're going to be discussing, and then we'll dive into each one individually. In front of us, TradingView, where we'll talk technicals, price action, and price targets once again, primarily to the downside, those accumulation targets on the following names today, in this order, going down the watch, as you can see right here on the right. Kicking it off, of course, with the king. Got to kick it off with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, you guys, the entirety of my TradingView watch list did just recycle about 45 minutes ago, actually exactly 45 minutes ago. So on top of that, I do actually have CoinMarketCap open right here, just so as we go down the list of names on the charts, we can actually take a look at the 24-hour price difference. So right here, just the top 5, 6 right now, down double digits, all down double digits. Okay, so Bitcoin at the time of recording down almost 11%, Ether 15%, Binance, all the other coins, Cardano, XRP, all down like 20, 18, 22%. So once again, you guys, I don't need to tell you this at this point, but we were seeing an absolute bloodbath in the crypto markets. So again, I do want to talk to you guys about my downside price targets, and again, where I'm personally comfortable accumulating some of these names that I'm very, very bullish on from a long-term perspective. But I will make it very clear, you guys, right now that short-term, I do not think the carnage is over. I do think that there's more downside ahead. At least that's my opinion, okay? So Bitcoin, after Bitcoin, we will switch it up into the equity markets and talk our favorite Bitcoin miners, at least my favorite Bitcoin miners for sure. Riot Blockchain and Marathon Digital, both faring pretty well today. And this actually makes sense. And the reason I'm saying it makes sense will make sense to you as we go over the first article as to the fundamental reason as to why the crypto markets are, I mean, it's pretty well established at this point that this is the reason the crypto markets are taking a tumble right now. But Bitcoin miners, US-based Bitcoin miners like Ryan Mar, faring pretty well today. That said, I do still think that they will likely see some downside ahead, at least as far as the short to medium term is concerned, okay? So Riot Blockchain, Marathon Digital are the only two equities we're going to be touching on today. After that, we are going to be moving into the alts. Got to kick it off with the king of the alts, Ethereum. So Ethereum, again, you guys, Ethereum, the entirety of the market, especially altcoins, are getting really beat up right now. So Ether, not looking too good as well. Again, just giving you guys all my downside price targets for all these names today. And then we will move on to probably my two favorite altcoin plays on top of Ethereum, of course, Chainlink and EOS, and then close it out with the poor pupper that is getting absolutely smoked right now, and that is Doge, okay? So Doge has almost perfectly hit my price target. I was about a month too early on my price target, or a few weeks early, I guess, on my initial downside price target for Doge. But at this point, as of literally right now, it's almost exactly hit my initial downside price target, okay? So I do want to close it out with Doge, not just to roast, not to talk about like how to achieve my downside price target, but because Doge specifically over most coins in the entirety of the crypto market, at least in my eyes, is the perfect example of what a chart looks like when you're dealing with peak FOMO, with peak hype, like with hype cycles, with true hype rallies, with pump and dumps. I'm not gonna say it's a complete pump and dump, but pretty much a pump and dump. That is Dogecoin, and that is reflecting in the price action that we've seen over the past 24 hours, okay? So we'll close it out with that, just a little market psychology, and I do think that watching how Doge is performing right now will come in handy in the future, because especially you guys, the Waves fam, I know you guys are going to be playing more rip-roaring rallies in the future. They're fun to play, but again, you want to know how to navigate the waters when the tsunamis start rolling in, okay? So we'll close it out with Doji on the charts. Once again, we do have CoinMarketCap open right here just to show you guys a 24-hour price action as we go down the watch list. The first article, the fundamental reason as to why the crypto markets are seeing a pullback right now. CNBC, Bitcoin sinks to 2-week low as China intensifies crypto mining crackdown. All right, so again, this is front page news. If you guys are involved with Bitcoin, you're likely already familiar with this, but we do have to catch up on this because this is the primary reason as to why, again, what catalyzed from a fundamental perspective the pullback that we're currently seeing in the crypto markets. Okay, so we will read through this, and then from a technical perspective, this is a news article, but this does have to do with technicals, and this is just another reason, another dark star aligning for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin forms death cross as sell-off shows no sign of reprieve. Okay, so we will go over this again. This is regarding technicals. I stopped using MAs, like moving average lines, on my charts a long time ago. For the first couple of years I was trading, I did use them, but now I do focus, as you guys know, primarily on the good old stick figures, just because I find them more effective personally, and they've proven me well. And again, I'm not just trying to I try to make things as simplified as possible if effective, okay? And that's what I found the good old stick figure lines do, all right? So again, we will be talking about this death cross when having to do, of course, with the 250-day moving averages. We'll take a look at this because this is a very strong technical that it just, again, adds to those negative stars aligning for Bitcoin, all right? So we will kick it off with the articles and then just dive straight into the charts and just talk technicals for the rest of the video, all right? As always, before you dive in, I will ask you to please give the video a like if you do go on to gain value from it today. If your crypto portfolio is getting absolutely smoked like mine is, thankfully, I have a pretty solid cash stack of USDC at the time. I have for actually the better part of a month or so now, but still getting pretty lit up in there. But also, please give the video a like if you're excited to accumulate some of your favorite names across the sector. I'm still very, very long-term fundamentally bullish on the crypto markets. I'm sure you guys know that. And it is exciting seeing these crazy discounted prices. I mean, it sucks, again, for the net worth. You guys know that. But from a long-term perspective, if you're playing the long game, which I hope many of you guys are, this is a great opportunity to accumulate some very promising names, some very promising projects at a discount for the long term, all right? So subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, want to catch more content like this, and of course, check out the complete portfolio daily newsletter. First link down in the description, $15 a month. If you guys want a complete breakdown of my entire portfolio, call options, put options, stock positions, cryptocurrency positions. If you want to know exactly how I'm personally navigating the crypto markets, not only actual cryptocurrencies, but crypto related stocks as well. RIOT, Mar aren't the only crypto equities in my portfolio. When I'm going to be buying them, what I'm buying when I do choose to buy them. On top of everything else, like, again, you guys, I'm not personally playing the crypto markets that much right now. I'm a long-term bull. I still love talking about it. I'm very passionate about crypto, but there's a lot of other plays in my portfolio right now that I'm way more bullish on. That's just the nature of the markets. You got to adapt to the times, and especially as a trader, you have to stay as objective and irrational as possible. And right now, the crypto markets aren't looking very good short-term, so I'm seeking opportunities, hopefully lucrative opportunities elsewhere. So again, all that said, $15 a month, it really means a lot if you guys check that out. Really put a lot of work into that. Again, on top of this update that I do every day during trading hours, I do send out an email newsletter explaining my thoughts, rationalizing my trades, throwing some real-time charts in there with real-time price targets for you guys. And again, just letting you guys know anything that I feel is important at the time, all right? So once again, first link down below, means a lot if you check it out. If not, I appreciate you watching right here. So let's get into these charts after, of course, the fundamentals, after, of course, these two articles that we'll look at, and then once again, we'll just talk strictly technicals for the rest of the video. Key points: Bitcoin fell as low as $31,760 Monday morning, dropping below 32K for the first time since June 8th. China's crackdown on cryptocurrency mining has extended to the southwestern province of Sichuan, according to reports. The People's Bank of China said Monday it had urged Alipay and some major banks to crack down on crypto trading. So once again, I'm sure the majority of you who are involved in the Bitcoin space are already familiar with this news. But again, as we move into plays like RIOT and Mar, this is what kind of makes sense. As this can justify to a certain extent the reason that plays like RIOT and Mar, again, which usually are more volatile, more amplified versions of Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's down 10%, it's not surprising to see RIOT and Mar down like 15, 20% at least. Okay, they kind of act like altcoins in that sense. But because RIOT and Mar are US-based Bitcoin miners, the fact that many mines in China are shutting down is potentially bullish for Bitcoin miners, for US-based Bitcoin miners like Riot Blockchain and Marathon Digital, okay? So we're not going to get into the specifics of that. The fact that this is happening isn't like indefinitely bullish for Bitcoin miners, but you can definitely make the argument that it is, which once again is why RIOT and Mar were able to weather the storm fairly well today. Okay, so read a couple more little paragraphs here, and then we'll hop into this one and then hop into the charts. Bitcoin sank to a 2-week low Monday on reports that China has intensified its crackdown on cryptocurrency mining. The world's largest digital currency fell as low as $31,760 Monday morning, dropping below $32,000 for the first time since June 8th. Once again, many Bitcoin mines and Sichuan were shuttered Sunday after authorities in the southwestern Chinese province ordered a halt to crypto mining, according to a report from the Communist Party-backed newspaper Global Times. More than 90% of China's Bitcoin mining capacity is estimated to be shut down, the paper said. Bloomberg and Reuters also reported on the move from Sichuan authorities. It follows similar developments in China's Inner Mongolia and Yunnan regions, as well as calls from Beijing to stamp out crypto mining amid worries over its massive energy consumption. Okay, so maybe they're saying that the worry here is energy consumption, but the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, obviously is they'll do inevitably what they want, and it's pretty. I shouldn't say it's evident, but if as a betting man, I would say that China is intimidated by Bitcoin and the crypto markets, and does believe that it is potentially harmful to their native fiat currency. Okay. So again, that's the thing about China. China, it's huge, but it's also a communist country, so they can do whatever they want. They can blacklist Jack Ma, the most important entrepreneur in China. They can make him go dark. So it's no surprise that they can halt all the Bitcoin mines if they want to. So this is the primary fundamental catalyst once again that did lead to the bloodbath that we're seeing in the crypto markets. Okay, so let's talk technicals, and then we'll move into the charts and really take a look at some technicals. Okay, so after a slew of news related to renewed crackdowns from China triggered a Bitcoin sell-off, chartists and analysts are turning to a sinister-sounding technical signal, the death cross. The original cryptocurrency has formed a death cross, meaning its average price over the last 50 days fell below that of its 200-day moving average. The indicator is typically seen as a closely watched technical measure that could offer hints at more pain to come. Many analysts had anticipated the coin, amid a recent downturn that's seen it lose over 40% in the past 2 months, would form the grim-sounding pattern. But there's reason to believe the formation this time around might not be as bearish of a signal, given that the 200-day moving average is still rising. According to Matt Maley, chief market strategist for Miller Tabak & Co., when it starts declining, that will be more compelling, he said. Indeed, Bitcoin's marking of a death cross in March 2020 proved no impediment to gains as it turned higher and formed a golden cross. That's quite the exception, so I don't necessarily agree with kind of that reference. When the pattern is reversed, obviously the golden cross, the beautiful, the angelic twin sibling of the death cross, 2 months later, but a death cross in November 2019 saw the coin trading lower 1 month later. So this is a lot more, today's climate, in my opinion, is a lot more relatable to November 2019 as opposed to March 2020 when we were in a black swan. So once again, I don't really agree with the sentiment right here, but it's food for thought, something for you guys to you can sit on that and think about that however you want. But I don't think that's a fair relation or correlation, I guess. Okay. So again, death cross comes into play. We're not going to I didn't even put the MAs on here. What the heck? What is that? Which one is this? Is it this one? Okay, there we go. Get out of here. It's a good thing we're just finished that anyway. Oh, it freaked me out. Okay, so anyway, my bad, guys. Let's hop into the charts once again, kick it off with BTC. We're seeing a little bounce right now, but it's no surprise that we are seeing some volatility following all of this. It's bloodbath. It is. I keep saying that. I want to stop. It's a little morbid, but that's just kind of what comes to mind. We're just seeing it right across the charts, okay? But let's be a shark in these waters. Smell blood. Let's double down on some positions, okay? I'm not, of course, not financial advice, but again, I'll give you guys my downside price targets. Let's get into it. Okay, so Bitcoin, what I want to kick it off with right now is obviously this head and shoulders pattern that did just resolve itself on a more short to medium term time horizon beginning on June 8th. So right here, Bitcoin did begin an uptrend, and once it broke that uptrend, it was pretty evident to me that this head and shoulders was likely to play out right here. Again, this same principle is going to come into play a lot over the course of this analysis. Once overall lines of support are broken, that usually leads to more downside, especially if we're already in a downtrend, okay? So right here, once this line of support was broken on the short-term uptrend, especially when Bitcoin was at the top of this channel, this range that I've had drawn for since we started this correction over a month or so ago now, it was pretty evident to me that we would play out this head and shoulders, which is exactly what we did, like to a T, okay? So head and shoulders pattern. Most of you guys know this, but again, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and we perfectly, to a T, technically played out this head and shoulders. This does show the strength of the technicals for Bitcoin right now, okay? And just more reason for me to believe why we'll see more downside, okay? So this principle is going to be something that I've been saying, is going to be something that I'm going to continue to say, because this is something that happens something that's happened almost every time I've played a hype cycle like this. Actually, every time I've played a hype cycle like this, it always happens, okay? So it's not 100% going to happen, but historically speaking, at least in my experience, it's super, super, super likely to happen. And also why $24,000 to $25,000 is my personal, and has been for the past month, once again, been my personal downside price target for Bitcoin. This principle is the reversion to the mean, which means that when support is broken, when overall support is broken, which is what, again, triggered this line right here. Where is it? We're on 4 hours, so I might need to zoom out a little bit. When this line was broken right here on May 12th, that's when it was pretty clear to me if Bitcoin didn't in a pretty short amount of time reclaim this channel or reclaim this line of support, that it was likely that we would begin this correction and we would ultimately see that reversion to the mean or the revisit to the first high, to the initial high of that rally, okay? So if we go back here, we can actually go to the daily just because I guess it's right here. So again, this level right here is the initial high after Bitcoin broke out of $20,000. Once we broke 20K, we just went straight parabolic to about $24,000, $25,000, all right? So technically about $20,000, the same area that Bitcoin's previous high back in 2017 was broken. Technically, $20,000 is like the initial high of this current rally, but I'm considering this the first high of the rally. This is where I'm personally comfortable accumulating more Bitcoin, is around, specifically, like exactly speaking, around $24,400. Conservatively, though, most people are going to be looking at this. Again, this is a very common principle amongst traders. So I do think I'm personally comfortable, once again, not getting greedy. $25,000, I'm personally comfortable buying Bitcoin, and that's getting pretty darn close if I'm being completely honest, okay? So again, maybe we go sideways here because we did play out this shorter term head and shoulders pattern, maybe go sideways, but following dumps, again, you guys, the two-wave theory that we always talk about here, the good old two-wave theory. Evil twin brother is the not even two tsunami theory, but you guys get it. It's just an inverse two-wave theory. The same thing happens. You see a big move down, followed by some sideways consolidation. It's almost always followed by another move to the downside, okay? And again, the same happens vice versa. There's a lot of mirrors that happen in trading. So again, you guys, this, and even this like just random trend line that I've had drawn for a while since this trend line was broke on June 17th is playing out pretty darn well. So I do think that Bitcoin over the coming week, just because, again, the entire environment, all the stars are aligning negatively for Bitcoin right now, I do think that by the end of the month, so over the next 10 days, I do think that Bitcoin will revisit about $25,000, which isn't actually, even at this point, not very surprising at all because we're pretty darn close, okay? So $25,000 is my personal price target for Bitcoin. Once again, let's go here. Bitcoin currently down because it is bouncing a little bit right now, over 10%, still double-digit red. Ethereum down 14% in the last 24 hours, 26% in the past week. Bitcoin down about 21% over the past 7 days. Okay, so that said, let's move on to Riot Blockchain and Mara. So Riot and Mara, of course, do share similar patterns. Riot right now, though, is playing out like a pretty textbook head and shoulder. Like, I'm so confident, you guys, in the fact that Riot will come down once again to at least $25. And like, if Riot plays out that, so to a T, let's see if we can exactly call this head and shoulders pattern, because we definitely will. I'm so confident we're going to see this, you guys. So head and shoulders pattern, once again, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, because Riot did. If Riot was like up here, if you saw the closure of this candle up around like 31, 32 bucks, that could convince me that maybe it's a higher low on the current short-term uptrend. But because this low actually right here, this 4-hour candle did dip below this area over here, we have now reversed trend, and it's, again, I would put so much money on the fact that we are going to play out this head and shoulders pattern and ultimately come down to about $25. Okay, so 26 bucks is 26 conservative price target, I guess, but it's pretty likely to me that we're going to come down to exactly like 25.19. Okay, but even after that plays out, you guys, just because, as many of you know as well, I am hesitant on the greater equity markets, on the equity indices, because equities like Riot and Mara are part of the equity markets. They are going to have some semblance of correlation to the equity markets. So Riot and Mara do play like plays like a mixture of Bitcoin, altcoins, and equities. Okay, so those are the three factors that come into play when you're trying to dictate price direction of plays like Riot and Mara. And the same principle applies to many crypto-related stocks as well, especially Bitcoin miners. Okay, so again, initially, I think it's very, very likely we come down to at least about 25 and a half bucks. But I do ultimately think that Riot will come down and revert to the mean, reversion to the mean, the revisit to its initial high of the rally. That for Riot Blockchain is going to be around 15 bucks, so 15 and a half bucks. I will consider, you could say in all honesty, this is the initial high right here, around $11.40. I'm playing it conservatively, you guys. I'm using this high right here. It's completely possible that RIOT does come down to about 12 bucks. Maybe if Bitcoin does come down to like $20,000, I wouldn't be surprised to see that in all honesty. But personally, I'm comfortable accumulating RIOT around 15 bucks, and Mara, of course, is going to look similar. So Mara actually is not playing out of head and shoulders. This is exactly what I was talking about with RIOT, if we did see this. So Mara on the short-term uptrend, you see high, technically a low, but that's kind of sideways. High. This is technically right now not a head and shoulders. Because I do think we're going to see a red day tomorrow, I think it's pretty likely that we will come down here, and we probably will just play out the head and shoulders. Mara will play out a head and shoulders pattern like RIOT. But just for like some TA practice right now, this to me could be perceived, definitely perceived, technically perceived as a higher low on the current uptrend, because again, this 4-hour candle did not dip below this one back here on the previous low. Okay, so maybe Mara pops. If Mara does pop, that's very, very bullish for Mara tomorrow. That's gonna be surprising if I'm being completely honest. But as a betting man, I would say, in the wake of, once again, just the general negative sentiment around the entirety of the crypto market right now, I would think that that Mara is going to come down to about 25 bucks at least. Maybe go sideways a little bit, but ultimately play out this head and shoulders pattern similar to RIOT and come down to about $21.50. Mara as well, same thing, reversion to the mean for Marathon Digital. It's going to be down here around 14.5 bucks. Again, Mara and RIOT always going to be a little lower. But technically, this high, like similar to RIOT, this initial high for Mara is around $6.70. Is that likely? Excuse me, guys, sorry about that. If Bitcoin goes to 20K and if the equity markets really see a pretty abrupt collapse, which I don't think is likely, I do think we'll see a correction in the equity markets. But if everything negatively aligns for Mara, maybe we see $6.5, $7. But again, just playing it conservatively, maybe we see like $10, just a nice psychological, even around $10. Did spend some time here around $10. I'm personally comfortable accumulating both RIOT and Mara around the low to mid teens. So again, not super direct price targets, but I will say both RIOT and Mara, my downside price targets are low to mid teens. Okay. So that's RIOT and Mara. Let's move on to Ethereum. So Ethereum just not looking good, you guys. Broke a very, very significant line of support right there, even if you do want to use this low over here. So again, very significant line of support over the entirety of this rally right here. Many touch points did prove to use it as resistance once again a little bit. But even using this right here, like if we do use this touch point, like Ether's low back in late May, that's very bearish because we did technically close a 4-hour below this absolute line of support, which gives me reason to believe. And now that even we're bouncing up, we're probably going to see a turn to the downside after this does choose to use new support or old support as new resistance. TA 101 right there. It's very likely to me, you guys, that we do see a further correction in Ether. Obviously, you guys know that. But again, reversion to the mean. Once all lines of support are broken, reversion to the mean is usually just is the go-to, you guys. And for that, that for Ether is going to be around $1,200. So conservative price target for Ether is around $1,200. You can see this rip right here. Ether's 2017 high was actually around $1,400. So maybe that does come into play. That area will act 2017's historic high. Will act kind of as that previous ceiling, new floor on a real macro perspective. So $1,500, $1,500. I'd personally be comfortable buying Ethereum, but maybe we do correct to about $1,200 because for this current rally, that would technically be the reversion to the mean or the revisit of the initial high. Okay, so again, this is going to be like kind of the similar stories here. We're just going to be looking at the initial highs of many of these plays. Let's go on to Link. So poor Link getting absolutely smoked right now, and Link is getting very, very close to just a very, very like strong level of both support and resistance. So acted as such a strong ceiling in November and December of 2020 until we saw a breakout in January of this year, around 13, 14 bucks. So I would say that $13 to $14 is going to be my downside price target for Link. Similar to EOS, like I just can't imagine these plays going much lower, especially considering I'm very familiar with them from a fundamental perspective. I'm very bullish on these projects long term. So even right now, you guys, from a long-term perspective, I do think one day we'll see a $100 Link. When that is, I don't know. There's like, and I was just talking to someone in the Discord about this. Like, when you see corrections like this, when sentiment goes bearish, you guys, things don't just pick back up immediately. We don't just pop back off once these targets are hit. It takes time for investors to regain that bullish sentiment, regain that steam. A lot of people, or a lot of people are pretty bummed. A lot of people are pretty torn up. So you just have to think about it from a psychological perspective, right? Like, if you just lost a bag, if you just lost a bunch of money, especially if you just made some, if maybe you didn't have, maybe you weren't of means, maybe you weren't super well off and crypto gave you a big opportunity, you held your crypto, you love crypto, you develop that emotional attachment to these plays, which again, everyone goes through. And that's part of growing as a trader, that's part of developing as a trader, is breaking those emotional attachments and doing your best to become rational. But even in this past cycle, like there's times where you do feel emotional, and that's almost inescapable. But again, that's something that develops the ability to just completely drop emotion and act as rationally as possible. It's something that you'll struggle with forever. But again, it's kind of just honing your blade and just building that resilience to emotion. Okay. But regardless, anyway, now that the TED Talk's out of the way, I will say that just link reversion to the mean, like 13.5, $14 is going to be my downside price target. But even at these levels, again, from a long-term perspective, I'm pretty comfortable accumulating all these plays, right? So EOS is probably the single play I'm the most comfortable accumulating right now. Let's redo that. But EOS did play, pretty much played out this super wonky head and shoulders pattern right here. And the resolution is going to be just below where we're at currently, which is another reason. I didn't even have this drawn. I almost haven't even, but that's the thing about looking at charts. Like, this is the first thing I saw. It's super janky head and shoulders pattern. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder resolution is going to be technically like, I guess technically it's kind of like right here, but you could say like $3.45 is a technical resolution, which is pretty much what we were just at anyway. Okay. So again, EOS is currently once again below the line of support on the short-term downtrend, the line of resistance, So again, broke this, was floating above this for a little bit, still going pretty much sideways, going down, but now it's back below that. And again, EOS, because I'm so fundamentally bullish on EOS, because Block 1 is such a promising project, especially as we move into the summer. They have a lot of exciting projects launching. They just got that $10 billion investment round from the names of Peter Thiel and very, very well established ventures or individuals, investors. But again, EOS, I'm super I don't really know what to say here. We're pretty darn close to my downside price target. But again, when you're looking at charts, when you're seeing a correction like this, it's kind of hard to gauge exact price targets. So it's just focusing on ranges. What has historically acted as ceilings and floors for EOS in the past. And right now, we're pretty darn close. And I'm personally comfortable accumulating EOS at this point in time. Maybe we go sideways. Maybe we see some volatility. Maybe we pop a little bit. But to sum up my thoughts around the entirety of the crypto market right now, I do think that, again, some sideways price action is going to be in the cards prior to resuming what many of you perceive as as a bull run or a bull rally. Historically, when we see rallies like we saw earlier this year, where Bitcoin went from 20K to 60K in a matter of months, we see that once every few years. Now, because the fundamental environment is different for Bitcoin this time around, that was a lot more FOMO, that was a lot more hype. There was a lot less fundamentals in 2017 to back to validate the price action to plays like Bitcoin and plays like altcoins, like many of the altcoins we know and love now. But now there's actual infrastructure being built around many of these projects. These projects are doing very, very real things in the blockchain world. So there's a lot more fundamental value to these plays. So maybe it happens faster. Maybe if these plays like ETH 2.0 launched or something, that would catalyze a big move up in ETH, or maybe reignite the overall rally. But for now, for the short to medium term future, I do remain bearish. Okay, so speaking of bear, let's close it out with, once again, the poor pup that is Dogecoin. So I left my drawings here, you guys, just to show you guys exactly kind of what I was expecting. And my initial price target, I think I called back here in mid-May. I called in mid-May, June 1st, we'd see a 15 to 20 cent Doge. About 18.5 to 20 cents was my initial price target, I think. So today, we just reached a low. Doge reached a low of about 16 cents right in the middle of this channel that I've had drawn. And again, you guys, this is it feels good to see this. I was super late, and in the markets, timing is everything. So this isn't even anything to brag about. But again, you guys, I do think Doge is going to come lower. I think Doge is very likely to revert to the mean and come down to about 14 cents. Okay, so exactly Doge's initial high right here. Worst case scenario for Doge is actually back here. And this was only in April of 2021. In April, Doge was at 8 cents. So worst case for Doge, in my opinion, which is I would not be surprised at all to see Doge come down to 8 cents. We've seen it in the past. We've seen it before, especially because, once again, like I said in the beginning, Doge is the epitome of I know people are going to get mad. Don't get mad. Of a pump and dump, of just an asset where there was so much hype. There was so much FOMO. My grandma, my real estate agent, who's a 50-year-old woman, was asking me if they should buy Doge. That was the initial signal to when I was like, okay, I'm going to start reducing my positions. I do think crypto's going to see a correction because I've been here before. I've dealt with this exact thing before. And when people who have no business asking you if they should invest in dogecoin, which is what they say, they don't call it Dogecoin, they say dogecoin. When they ask if they should invest in dogecoin, that's usually, especially if you made profits, especially if you made a good trade, usually when you should probably consider pulling some of your chips off the table, okay? So Doge, as far as downside price targets, I think it's very likely that Doge comes down to at least 14 cents. Worst case scenario is about 8 cents. Considering Doge was at fractions of the cents just like in December of 2020, that would not surprise me at all. But again, you guys, look at Doge. I'm not going to go into like a lot of everything I'm looking at here with Doge, but just look at this chart. And look how a play like Doge reacts when the greater market environment. Look, it's even bouncing harder. So you're just seeing that much more volatility in a play like Doge. So Doge is going to be more volatile. It's going to be, again, there's a lot more going on here. You're seeing a lot of volume come back to a play like Doge and all these names just because when there's a sell-off, just the same way there's a rally, when there's a sell-off, you're going to see more volume. A lot of people, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear in there. And a lot of people, unfortunately, especially if you're leveraged, are going to be dumping their positions, okay? So just watch plays like Doge. Be careful, especially if you do play plays like Doge in the future. Again, you guys, the story's fun. The memes are fun. But a lot of people, and I do feel bad for them, are having a very, very not fun time right now. So if you held a bag of Doge, let me know in the comments down below. I'll give you a pat on the back, make you feel a little better, hopefully. But again, you guys, this is just the market. This is the cycles. This is how the market works. If you're upset right now, trust me, I've been there before. Everyone who's an investor, and especially if you want to play this for the long game, you're here right now. Probably been there before if you've been around for a while, and you'll inevitably be there again. So again, you guys, just keep your head up. Understand this is a long game we're playing. Again, if you are bullish on many of these plays from a longer term perspective, then start accumulating some plays right now. Look how hard these things are bouncing. Look, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin bounce up 5%. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. Let's close it out by taking a quick look at Bitcoin right now. Again, Bitcoin bouncing right now just because it did resolve that head and shoulders. But once again, you guys, like I still think it's very, very likely. Obviously, just right here, we can move this guy around. This is the line of support. So maybe best case scenario, short term, real short term, is Bitcoin comes up to test the line of resistance on the short term downtrend right here. That would take us up to about like 34, maybe like 34, just say 34K, because we'll probably hit it like around here. So like 33, like high 30s, low 34Ks. But again, you guys, we're still in a downtrend. I do still think Bitcoin has to revert to the mean around $25,000. Please let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are around the cryptocurrency sector. Which names that we talked about today or that we didn't talk about are you the most excited to accumulate at a discount? Because again, you guys, if you're long-term bullish, corrections present opportunities, okay? So I'll talk to you guys downstairs in the comments. And until next time, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.